SLT Fibre and experience the power of fibre technology. Sri Lanka's only super fast internet connection. SLT Fibre. Call 1212 now.
Tonight, what's in the MCC? The Bar Association urges the government not to sign the MCC compact without transparency, while the opposition leader airs similar sentiment. No limits. Sajith announces much-awaited election manifesto. Monkey wrench. Dr. Sarath Amunugama points to a saboteur within the Sajith camp.
Ranil Wickremesinghe has decided to sabotage the campaign and in effect make sure that he has no chance in the election.
This Thursday, the 31st of October, 2019.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
මුහුණ සති කීපයකට කලින් Fair and Lovely men ගෑවට පස්සේ මාක්ස් අඩු වෙලා ෆෙයානස් වැඩි වෙලා.
මාක්ස් අඩු කරලා ඔයාගේ ෆෙයානස් ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් එක වැඩි කරගන්න. Fair and Lovely men anti marks cream.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Kanaga. Let's start with your local stories. The much-awaited manifesto of the New Democratic Front presidential candidate, Minister Sajith Premadasa, was launched in Kandy today, outlining a 5-year plan for the development of the country. Themed Sajith's Social Revolution, the manifesto drew on many pledges made on election stages in the past weeks, namely a zero-tolerance policy towards drugs, affordable prices, universal education and shelter for all, among a host of others. Presidential candidate of the New Democratic Front, Minister Sajith Premadasa, launched his much-awaited election manifesto today at a ceremony organised in Kandy. Titled, "There is no limit to what Sri Lanka can achieve. Let us prove it together," under the theme Sajith's Social Revolution, the manifesto reveals plans of the presidential hopeful for the next 5 years.
විවිධ බලවේග විවිධ පාර්ශව කරුවන් අභ්‍යන්තර න්‍යාය පත්‍රයට ඇඟිලි ගසන්නට උත්සාහ දරන කාලවකවානුවකදී මම ඍජුව ප්‍රතිඥාවක් දෙනවා. අපේ රටේ ඒකීය භාවය, ස්වෛරීත්වය, බහුමික අඛණ්ඩතාවය, දේශපාලන නිදහස, සම්බුද්ධ ශාසනයට මුල්තැන ලබා දෙමින් සෙසු ආගම්, සෙසු ජාතීන් සුරක්ෂා කරමින් ජනතා පරිමාධිපත්‍ය රජවන මාතෘභූමිය අපි නිර්මාණය කරනවායි කියන එක මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. මේ ගමනේ ප්‍රධානතම ඉලක්කය අපේ මාතෘභූමිය සෞභාග්‍ය සම්පන්න දේශයක් බවට නිර්මාණය කිරීමයි. මේ රටේ ත්‍රස්තවාදය තුළින් පවුලේ සමාජිකින් අහිමි වුණු පවුල්වල ඒ දුක කඳුල වේදනාව මම හොඳින් අවබෝධ කරගෙන තිබෙනවා. ත්‍රස්තවාදය පරාජය කරපු ඒ සෙන්පතිවරුන් සියලු දෙනා ජාතික ආරක්ෂා වගකීම වෙත යොමු කරලා ඒ නායකත්වය ලබා දීලා ත්‍රස්තවාදය මුලින් උපුටා දමපු දේශයක් බවට අපි නිර්මාණය වෙනවා. අපි එක්ව ඉදිරියට ගිහිල්ලා මේ රටේ සියලුම දෙනා එකතු කරගත් ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ රටක් නිර්මාණය කරමු.
The manifesto focuses on various arenas, with focal points being affordable prices and a high quality of life, shelter for all, universal preschool for all, universal higher education, universal healthcare, accountable leadership, zero tolerance on drugs and corruption, zero tolerance on religious extremism and violence, a tough and a smart national security strategy, dignity for the public sector, government for the people, financial markets, inspiring women, empowering small businesses, empowering the farmer, environment and energy, encouraging entrepreneurship and innovation, a market-ready youth population, appreciation of migrant workers and public transport. In his manifesto, the presidential candidate has paid special attention to the illicit drug elimination, where he says his administration will establish a special anti-narcotics court, special anti-narcotics prosecutor, and strengthen the police anti-narcotics division. It goes on to highlight that new laws and regulations under which religious extremism may be monitored, investigated, and prosecuted where necessary. These laws will also place severe penalties on hate speech and misinformation. The presidential hopeful goes on to emphasize that public services will be reformed into a people-centric administration, which will be staffed according to merit and not by favoritism or corruption. Focusing on his efforts against terrorism, Premadasa says that he will develop a holistic and a long-term national security strategy with the attention on counter-terrorism and preventing violent extremism. A post by the name National Security Advisor will be created along with the establishment of a new inter-organizational counter-terrorism center which will hold weekly meetings. The administration also hopes to create a new National Intelligence Act to increase efficiency in intelligence gathering and enable coordination between intelligence agencies. Minister Premadasa also hopes to engage in a constitutional reform process on the executive president, acting with the concurrence of the Prime Minister. He says devolution and electoral systems launched by this parliament will be completed without delay along with all stakeholders, and that the new constitution will be approved through a referendum. Focusing on his foreign policy, Premadasa says that strong relations will be built with neighbouring countries to project Sri Lanka's role in the hub of the Indian Ocean Rim regions. The manifesto mentions that Sri Lanka's foreign services will be reoriented to focus more on economic diplomacy and that all diplomatic missions will be regularly evaluated on contribution to national interests as well as trade and investment promotion. The presidential hopeful also gives his guarantee on ensuring media freedom by abolishing outdated laws in accordance with Colombo Declaration on Media Freedom and Social Responsibility. He promises to remove the carbon tax on vehicles, while higher investment for the modernization of public transport will be financed by taxing land appreciation. In an attempt to encourage entrepreneurship, the presidential candidate hopes to provide tax relief and improve ease of doing business for small and medium enterprises by increasing the value-added tax threshold from 12 million rupees per year to 50 million rupees per year, removing the need for businesses to earn up to 4 million rupees a month to pay VAT. A 10 million rupee National Venture Capital Fund will also be created to support tech startups. The recently passed anti-dumping law will also be strengthened to protect the SMEs from unfair trade practices. Premadasa also says that all state-owned enterprises will be required to publish audited accounts on a quarterly basis, similar to publicly quoted companies listed in the Colombo Stock Exchange. The election manifesto goes on to say that in order to achieve an export-driven growth, the new administration will swiftly implement the national export strategy. Focusing on his proposed tax system, Premadasa notes that contribution from indirect taxes will be reduced by 60%, relieving the poorest taxpayers in society. In bringing down the number of taxes, the new administration hopes to amalgamate the NBT and VAT to a single tax of 15%. Premadasa also hopes to immediately implement the capital depreciation allowance, under which all investments up to $100 million will receive an additional 100% capital allowance in addition to 100% depreciation. Investments of over $150 million will receive an additional capital allowance of 150%. In his designs for the tourism sector, Premadasa says that he will create public-private partnerships between the government and the private sector to manage funds from Tourism Development Levy and establish a one-stop shop for tourism sector regulatory agencies. He also pledges special incentives for setting up entertainment parks, adventure-based tourism and MICE tourism. He further hopes to make destination marketing campaign a high priority in key source markets such as India, China and Southeast Asia. Premadasa notes that brand of Sri Lanka will be promoted in collaboration with Sri Lanka Tourism, Sri Lankan Airlines and Ceylon Tea. The presidential candidate says that 2 presidential task forces will be appointed for reconstruction and development in the northern and eastern provinces. A presidential commission will also be appointed to address the outstanding land disputes in the conflict-affected areas, with the plan of solving these issues within a year. He also promises to release all those who were detained for long periods of time without charges. Premadasa meanwhile extends his fullest support for the Office of Missing Persons and Office of Reparations. Moving on to his promises on the issues faced by the people in the upcountry, Premadasa says that a presidential task force to uplift the upcountry community will immediately be established. He promises the upcountry people their own 7-perch freehold plot of land with a home. He also reiterates his hopes of facilitating a 1,500 rupee per day income for estate workers, along with efforts to revive health and education privileges of the upcountry. Noting the importance of youth participation in the decision-making process, the presidential contender promises to institutionalize diverse youth representation in public policy consultations at all levels of the government. He also hopes to establish a 15 billion rupee fund to create 100,000 jobs for the youth in the export sector. Now, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa yet again pledged to empower public officials under a future government office in order to strive for the levels of development enjoyed prior to the regime change in 2015. Addressing a campaign rally in Maharagama last evening, the former wartime defence secretary praised officials at the Urban Development Authority for the success of the rapid development projects implemented at the time. He also promised to halt the appointment of unqualified persons as a remedy for the massive losses suffered by state corporations. Addressing a campaign rally in Maharagama yesterday, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa highlighted the massive contributions of professionals at the Urban Development Authority for the success of the many development projects implemented in the city. He added that the key to transforming loss-making entities into profit-making ones lies in the appointment of career professionals to positions of responsibility who can plan and achieve targets according to timeframes set down by the state.
මම අවුරුදු 20ක් හමුදාවේ සේවය කළා අවුරුදු 10ක් ආරක්ෂක ලේකම් හැටියට කියලා අවුරුදු 30ක රාජ්‍ය සේවකයෙක් හැටියට සේවය කළා. මම දන්නවා මේ රාජ්‍ය සේවකයාගේ තියෙන අපහසුකම්. නගර සංවර්ධන අධිකාරී ඒකේ ඉන්න නගර සංවර්ධන ඒ ඉංජිනේරුවන් ගෘහ නිර්මාණ ශිල්පී නගර නිර්මාණ ශිල්පී මේ තමයි මේ කොළඹ නගරය හැදුවේ. පිටින් ඇවිල්ලා නෙවෙයි. ඔහු කරන රාජකාරිය අපි අගය කරා. ඔහුට නායකත්වයක් දුන්නා. අපි ඔහුට දුන්නු ඉලක්ක දේශපාලන ඉලක්ක නෙවෙයි. රට වෙනුවෙන් මව්බිම වෙනුවෙන් උන් ඒක තේරුම් ගත්තා. ඒකින්ද තමයි උන් දිවාරා වැඩ කළා. ඒ වෙනසක් කොළඹ නගරේ ඇති කළේ. දේශපාලන කිසිම හැකියාවක් නැති පුද්ගලයන් සභාපතිවරු අධ්‍යක්ෂක මණ්ඩලයට දාන නිසා මේවාද පාඩු ලබනවා. අපේ රජයක් යටතේ අපි මේවට දාන්නේ වෘත්තිකයන් පමණයි. දක්ෂයන් පමණයි. ඒ අයට අපි ඉලක්ක ලබා දෙනවා. ඒ ඉලක්ක වලට ක්‍රියා කරන්නට අපි එයාට කාලයක් දෙනවා. මේවා ලාභ ලබන ආයතන බවට පත් කරනවා. මේවා ජනතාවට අයිති දේවල්. මේවා පාඩු ලබන්නට බෑ. අනිත් එක අපි නීති ගේනවා මේ රාජ්‍ය ව්‍යාපාර පුද්ගලික අංශයට විකුණන්නට බැරි වෙන්නට අපි නීති ගේනවා.
Meanwhile, members of the clergy and civil society from the area of Aruakkalu in Puttlam met with the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna presidential candidate at his residence in Mirihana today. The purpose of the audience was to present their objections to the controversial Aruakkalu sanitary landfill. Later on in the day, a special tree planting event planned in order to offset the carbon footprint generated by official SLPP campaign rallies was held with the participation of cricketing great Muthaiya Muralidharan. Meanwhile, agreements were signed today between a total of 17 political parties in partnership with the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, giving birth to the coalition Sri Lanka Nidahas Podujana Sandhanaya, or Sri Lanka Freedom People's Alliance, one of the largest in the country's history. Leaders of the parties pledged their support to presidential hopeful Gotabaya Rajapaksa, centering on the single goal of development and love for the motherland. 17 political parties, including the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, inked an agreement today to form a broader coalition under the name Sri Lanka Nidahas Podujana Sandhanaya, or Sri Lanka Freedom People's Alliance. The event was ceremoniously worked off at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute under the patronage of SLPP presidential hopeful Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Leaders of all political parties entering into the coalition inked the agreement, and then it was handed over to respective secretaries.
කුළුගැන්වෙන ඒ සහෝදරත්වය හා නියෝජනය කළ
Subsequently, all present gave a pledge on the looming presidential election.
අහිංසක පවුල් ඉන් මුදවා ගන්නා බවද රාජ්‍ය සම්පත්
මම හිතන්නේ ලංකාවේ ඇති වුණු විශාලතම සන්ධානය කියලා අපිට කියන්නට පුළුවන්. පක්ෂ 17ක් බවට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් මේ පක්ෂ සියල්ලම එක් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ එක් පොදු අරමුණක්. ඒ අපේ මව්බිමට ආදරය කරන පක්ෂ හැටියට. අපේ ජයග්‍රහණයෙන් පස්සේ මගේ දූර කාලය ඇතුළත මේ සියලුම ජනතාවගේ බලාපොරොත්තු ඉටු කර ගැනීමට මේ පක්ෂවල සෑම පක්ෂයකම සහයෝගය මා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඔබ දන්නවා විශේෂයෙන්ම පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුල සහාය ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත් වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ප්‍රාදේශීය සභා, පළාත් සභා මේ වගේ සහායත් ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත් වෙනවා. අපි ඒක සන්ධානයක් හැටියට ඉදිරියේදී සිදුවන සියලුම මැතිවරණවලදී ජනතාවට මුහුණ දෙන්නට අපි මේ සන්ධානය ඇති කරගෙන තියෙනවා. අපි දන්නවා මේ පක්ෂ 17 පසුගිය ඒ පුංචි මැතිවරණයේ මේ සියලුම පක්ෂ ලබාගත් ඡන්ද ප්‍රමාණය බැලුවොත් අපිට 56ක් දැනටමත් තියෙනවා. අපි මේ මැතිවරණය ජනාධිපතිවරණය ආරම්භ කරන්නේ 56ක ඊදිනෙන් ඉඳලා. ඒ නිසා මම හිතනවා සියලු දෙනා මේ අවස්ථාව වෙනකොට තීරණයකට පැමිණලා ඉවරයි කවුද ජනාධිපතිවරණය ජයගන්නේ කියන එක.
United People's Freedom Alliance MP Dr. Sarath Amunugama today insisted that all factions party to the new Sri Lanka Freedom People's Alliance have unanimously endorsed opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa as the party's Prime Minister. He also voiced his conviction that rival presidential hopeful Sajith Premadasa having a saboteur amongst their midst, pointing in the direction of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Dr. Amunugama alleged that the PM's recent confirmation smacked of a blatant attempt to sabotage Minister Premadasa's campaign for the presidency, given public opposition to his premiership. The weekly media briefing of parliamentarians backing the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was held today with the participation of MPs Dr. Sarath Amunugama, Anura Priyadarshana and Tilanga Sumatipala. In his statement, Dr. Amunugama said that the recent confirmation by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe of his continued premiership under a Sajith Premadasa presidency was part of a plan by the Prime Minister to sabotage the New Democratic Front presidential candidate's campaign, given his continued rejection by both the people and the party.
The country was interested to know who would become the Prime Minister of this country in the event of a candidate winning the election. As far as we are concerned, all the parties in our alliance are unanimously of the view that the Prime Minister should be Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa. On the other side, as far as Mr. Sajith Premadasa was concerned, he dodged the issue as to who would be his Prime Minister. But yesterday we had the answer. Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe declared that he was going to be the Prime Ministerial appointee. I think this has embarrassed Mr. Sajith Premadasa no end, but that is not our concern. Our concern is that a person who has been rejected time and again is now again coming in trying to be a Prime Minister of this country. But his own party decided very clearly that he was not fit for leadership. He was not fit for leadership of his party. He was not fit for leadership for the country, and he was a political disaster. And there is a lot of speculation in Colombo that Ranil Wickremesinghe has decided to sabotage the campaign of Mr. Sajith Premadasa and in effect make sure that he has no chance in the election by saying that he will be the Prime Minister, because nobody in this country wants him as the Prime Minister except perhaps himself. And by his proclamation, he has given a big boost to our campaign. The attempt by Mr. Sajith Premadasa to obfuscate this issue, to somehow deceive the voter that he has not made up his mind, has been exposed before the public. Then number 3.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka isn't happy with the fact that the MCC Compact has been passed in the Cabinet. Await details after this break. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the controversial MCC compact is drawing much criticism from various factions in society after Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe revealed that it will be signed before the presidential election in 2 weeks' time. Presidential hopeful of the New Democratic Front, Minister Sajith Premadasa, meanwhile emphasised that he will amend all agreements that bring harm to the country on being elected president. Amidst these developments, however, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka urged the government not to move ahead with the agreement before making certain proposed amendments or making the compact public. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the implementation of the $480 million grant from the US government foreign aid agency, the Millennium Challenge Corporation, on Tuesday. This decision is currently drawing strong opposition from various parties, including the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Issuing a special statement today, the Bar Association called on the government not to sign the compact without providing an opportunity for the public to understand the true nature of the compact. The association reveals that although assurances on the agreement's benign nature are being given, the draft, which was previously made available to the association, had a multitude of disadvantageous clauses for Sri Lanka. In its final report after studying the compact, the BASL had outlined the grave consequences Sri Lanka would face as an independent and sovereign state if the government proceeded to sign the agreement. The Bar Association says that these grave issues were communicated to the Prime Minister in writing, for which the government had assured that further steps will not be taken without amendments to the compact and full disclosure of the content to the public. The association therefore urges the government not to proceed with the proposed agreement in spite of compelling short-term economic reasons without honouring its commitment made to the association. Meanwhile, prior to the official launch of his election manifesto, presidential candidate of the New Democratic Front, Minister Sajith Premadasa, called on the chief prelate and other prominent members of the Buddhist clergy of the Askiriya chapter in Kandy today. The discussion mainly focused on the MCC compact.
ගිවිසගත ගැනීමට පෙර සියලු ආගමික පාර්ශ්වයන් ඉදිරිපත් කළා යම්කිසි අනුමැතියක් කරගෙන කැමැත්තක් ඇතුළු ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමයි කියන අදහස අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා. අපි අදහස් කරනවා බුද්ධ ශාසන අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ජනාධිපති තනතුර යටතේ මේ කාරණේ මොහන්සේ ඉදිරිපත් කරපු අදහස් දෙකම අපි ඉදිරියට කරනවා.
In the meantime, issuing a special statement today, leader of the opposition Mahinda Rajapaksa raised concern over the MCC compact. He questioned as to why the compact is protected with such secrecy when emphasis on its benefits are mentioned at all times by relevant officials. The opposition leader also insists that the government should not have entered into a crucial agreement days before the presidential election and went on to note that it must be done after the election. Meanwhile, UPFA parliamentarian Dr. Sarath Amunugama also voiced the stance of the SLPP faction regarding the controversial compact.
Now the position of Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa has been clearly enunciated. Number one is that we are friends of every country. Number two is that every single document dealing with the external sector will be scrutinized very thoroughly from the point of view of the national interest. In any case, this matter has to come before Parliament and members of Parliament can express their views, and in any event, even if you sign it or not sign it or whatever, the beginning date of that project will be long after the lifespan of this presidency and this Parliament, so we have time to study that. So our position is this is a matter which will be studied very seriously by our party officials and the treasury officials of our time. Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa himself will study it and give a final decision.
Now, circling back to election propaganda, MP Anukumara Disanayake has plans to recover the money the government lost owing to various instances of fraud and corruption. On the campaign trail, the presidential candidate of the movement National People's Power pledged to declare a grace period, enabling the culpable to return whatever they pilfered from the government. In doing so, MP Anukumara Disanayake noted that the central bank bond scam culprits too can make use of the window as he addressed a campaign rally in Ampara yesterday.
අපි කොම්පැනි වලට දීපු ඉඩම් ඔක්කොම පවරගෙන ආපහු ගොවි ජනතාවට දෙනවා. ඒ වගේම අපේ රටේ කුසිබිම් තියෙන 11%යි. මේ 11%ත් නැති වුණොත් අපිට මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඒ නිසා වගා කරන තැන් මොනවද? වනාන්තර තියෙන කොතනද? නිවාස සංකීර්ණ තියෙන කොතනද? මේ ඔක්කොම ගැන කල්පනා කරපු ඉඩම් පරිහරණ සලස්මක් අපි මේ රට හදනවා. ආණ්ඩුවෙන් හදන සියලු නිවාස ව්‍යාපෘති මහල් නිවාස බවට පත් කරනවා. දැන් ලොකු සාකච්ඡාවක් වෙලා තියෙන පොහොර. හැබැයි මම ඕගොල්ලන්ට එකක් කියන්න තරහ වෙන්නේ. මේ දෙන සහන ආධාරයට වඩා රුපියලකින්වත් සහන ආධාරය නම් වැඩි කරන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි අපිට මුන්නස්සල එක සහතිකයක් දෙනවා. ගුණාත්මක පොහොර දෙනවා. ඔය ගේන පොහොර බාල පොහොරව නිකන් නෙවෙයි. ඒ විතරක් නෙවෙයි. අපේ ගොවි ජනතාව නේද වකුගඩු රෝගීන් බවට පත් වෙලා තිබෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා අපි ක්‍රමානුකූලව රසායනික පොහොර අඩු කරමින් කාබනික රසායනික පොහොර මිශ්‍රණයක් අපේ රටේ ගොවි ජනතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන වැඩපිළිවෙල අපි ආරම්භ කරනවා. ගොවි ජනතාවට දී කිලෝයකට ලැබෙන මිල ස්ථාවර මිලක් බවට පත් කරනවා. කන්න දෙක තුනක් යනකොට අපේ ගොවි ජනතාවගේ ජීවිතය උසස් කරනවා. ඒකද යෝජනා කරන්නේ යාචක ආර්ථිකය. මම තමුන්වහන්සේලා අද කියලා යනවා 17 වෙනිදා අපිට රට බලය දෙන්නේ පළමු ප්‍රකාශය. මහා ජනතාවගෙන් හොරකම් කරලද දේපල මාස දෙකක නිදහස් කාලයක් දෙනවා. ඒ කාලය ඇතුළත ගෙනල්ලා ආණ්ඩුවට බාර දෙන්න. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහට පුළුවන්, රවි කරුණානායකට පුළුවන් මහා බැංකුවෙන් ගහපුවා ගෙනත් දෙන්න. දයාගම ගෙත් අත්තරින්නේ නැහැ. එයාට පුළුවන් සමුර්ධියව ගෙනත් දෙන්න. සාධාරණ අපි මේ කාගෙන්වත් පරිගන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපිට සාධාරණ අයිතියක් තිබෙනවා හොරකම් කරපු දේපල යලි පවර ගන්න.
Now taking a look at the markets, Sri Lankan shares rose today to close at their highest in more than 13 weeks as investors took position 2 weeks ahead of the presidential polls. The all-share price index ended 0.55% firmer at 5,990.24, its highest close since the 29th of July. The index rose 1.2% last week but is down 1% for the year. Financial and telecom stocks were among the top gainers, with Hat National Bank PLC rising 2.9%, Sri Lanka Telecom PLC ending 2.2% firmer, and Dialog Axiata PLC adding 0.8%. Now let's take a look at how the markets performed today.
In the bond market, the secondary market yield curve shifted slightly upwards while the overall market witnessed moderate volumes. There was selling interest that was primarily there on the short tenor bonds. In the stock market, the market rebounded towards positive territory, recording the highest daily gain in 13 weeks. The crossings constituted 26% of the day's turnover, recording the highest turnover in 6 weeks. And net foreign outflow was recorded in high foreign participation.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.